Welcome to Vinyasa Flow. My name is Michelle Chua. Grab a couple of yoga blocks. We will definitely be using at least one to start, and a strap. You can put that aside. Let's begin in Hero's Pose or Virasana, some way of sitting with your knees in front of you and your toes pointed straight back. You could sit up on a prop between your ankles or directly on your calves or in between your feet. Here's an excerpt from the book, The Heart of Yoga, Developing a Personal Practice by T.K. Desikachar. Yoga also means acting in such a way that all of our attention is directed toward the activity in which we are currently engaged. Suppose, for example, that while I am writing, one part of my mind is thinking about what I want to say, while another part is thinking about something entirely different. The more I am focused on my writing, the greater my attentiveness to my action in this moment. The exact opposite might also occur. I might begin writing with great attention, but as I continue to write, my attention begins to waver. I might begin to think about the plans I have for the day tomorrow or what is cooking for dinner. It then appears that as if I am acting with attentiveness, but really I am paying little attention to the task at hand. I am functioning, but I'm not present. Yoga attempts to create a state in which we are always present, really present, in every action, in every moment. The advantage of attentiveness is that we perform each task better, and at the same time, we are conscious of our actions. The possibility of making mistakes becomes correspondingly smaller the more our attention develops. When we are attentive to our actions, we are not prisoners to our habits. I love that. Let me repeat it. When we are attentive to our actions, we are not prisoners to our habits. We do not need to do something today simply because we did it yesterday. Instead, there is the possibility of considering our actions fresh, and so avoiding thoughtless repetition. Let's take a moment as you're stilling your body to digest whatever may resonate with you from Desikachar. This may be one of several yoga practices you've already experienced, and the poses you may have experienced numerous times. Some of you have been practicing for many years. How do we bring that attentiveness, that true focus within each posture, within each breath, within each movement, to experience the freshness of each, no matter how many times you've practiced downward facing dog or whatever it is? Or maybe you set a hand at your heart center and a hand at your lower belly and begin to connect to your physical body's sensations. What's new here? Bringing a sense of curiosity to engage in the present. How's your body speaking to you right now? Sensing your physical state. Start to focus on your breathing, just letting it flow naturally. Observe its details. And tune into your energetic state. Then notice your mind. How active is it at this moment? What kinds of thoughts are affecting the way you feel? Sensing your mental and emotional state. Now, what is one thing that you can genuinely offer gratitude for? Having carved this hour for your practice today, what would you like to focus on? What would you like to really tune into, set your intention, and cultivating your experience. And then choose somebody, a community or cause that you care about, to maybe offer this practice to. So dedicating your efforts to someone or something. Then let a breath in, filling up the lungs, filling up your belly, sitting up a little taller. Any sound that may want to come out of the mouth, let it go. Let's prepare to chant together to open our practice with 3 ohms. Inhale deeply. I invite you to close your lips and continue to breathe deeply in and out through your nose. Let's begin the practice called bellows breath, Bhastrika Pranayama. And that's where you inhale so deeply that you use your diaphragm to fully expand your lungs and belly. And exhale equal intensity all through the nose. So picture your lungs and belly like a bellow, right? Expanding and softening. Deep inhale, deep exhale. Now there's a physical movement or kriya that can stoke the fire a little more, as this is an energizing breathing technique, and it also helps to bring clarity to the mind. And that physical action is bending your elbows apart and making fists out of your hands. Relaxing the shoulders as you sit tall. And as you breathe in, you straighten the arms overhead and spread your fingers wide. As you breathe out, rebend the elbows and refist the hands to whatever brisk rhythm of deep breaths you can sustain. I'm going to set the timer in a moment for 1 minute. Practice a few rounds on your own before you start. Bellows breath, Bhastrika Pranayama. All right, sit up tall, relax the shoulders, prepare. You might close your eyes and steady your inner gaze at your intuitive energy center, Ajna Chakra, third eye center. I'm setting the timer for 1 minute. Ready? Begin. Remember to breathe with a mouth closed. We're halfway through. And relax. Take a moment as you breathe naturally to observe the way you feel. And let's begin Ujjayi Pranayama, which will take us into our postures and movements. It's a way to balance your nervous system and steady your mind by creating a very gentle whispering sound. So as you close your lips, softly narrow the back of your throat. Sustain your breath evenly in and out through your nose. Listen to that sound a few times here and cultivate the feeling and sound of balance and gentleness. Slow, steady rhythm to the breath. So as you listen to that sound, it serves as an anchor, a focus point for your mind, helping to bridge it with a present moment. So as you keep tuning into that breathing, take your block, please, and by the widest width, hug it firmly between your palms. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see my shoulders a little easier. Straightening your arms forward, squeeze the block between your palms without gripping with your fingers. So keep the fingers straight and then plug your shoulder bones back into their sockets, pressing them down as you sit up a little taller, soften in the bottom of your front ribs. So our focus in our practice today physically is shoulders in flexion. And that looks like this, beginning to raise the arms towards overhead while keeping the shoulders down. Rotate your triceps, these outer sides of your upper arms, towards the ground and forward so that your pinky finger edges are pressing into the blocks more so than your thumbs, which might actually be lifting away from the blocks. And as you keep doing that, slide your shoulder blades down your back, hug the bottom of your front ribs in, and lift up through the center of your spine and crown. Deep breaths. Now begin to bend your elbows, keeping the shoulders low. And see if you might be able to place the block behind your skull. Take a look at your elbows and make sure that they are not splaying apart wider than your shoulders distance. So rather than the elbows here, hug the elbows towards each other as if you have a second block that you're squeezing between your inner elbows. Rolling the shoulders downward, lift your sternum, lift the back of your skull. And let's take a few more breaths here. See if you might even bring the block towards the bottom or base of your skull. And start to tilt your chest slightly towards the sky without shortening your lower back. So keep hugging in the bottom front ribs and anchoring your tailbone down. 2 more deep breaths. So this is shoulders in flexion. And with an exhale, place the block aside and let's spread the fingers wide on the floor with your shoulders stacked right over your wrists. Step your knees a couple inches behind your hips. Take a look at your index fingers and stretch them forward so they're not at all pointing at each other. They could even slightly be turned out. Now right here, again, rotate your triceps towards your back wall behind you. This is the same action you did when holding that block. Spreading the shoulder blades apart, draw them down your back, lengthening your neck. Stay aware of your breathing and tuck your toes, separating your feet at least hips distance apart. Lift your pelvis as high as you can, pressing your sitting bones towards your back wall. Entering downward facing dog. Spend a few first breaths pedaling your feet slowly in place, helping to warm up and stretch your hamstrings and calves. Inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your nose. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Now bend your knees and lift your hips even higher if possible. Keep your hips that high and press the very front tops of your thigh bones towards your rear wall. Maybe the knees stay bent, and hug your bottom front ribs inward towards your back. As you continue to rotate your triceps towards the ground and soften the back of your neck, lift the shoulders away from the neck and let your heels sink deeper and deeper towards the earth, even if they don't touch the floor. Land your eyes, your gaze, your drishti on one spot and tune into 3 more deep breaths. Now with your body still, bringing a freshness to this practice of downward dog, no matter how many times you practiced it before. What's different here? What's fresh in this moment? When you hear the end of your 3rd exhalation, walk or lightly jump to the front of your mat, entering a standing forward fold. With your feet apart, hips distance, parallel to each other, bend your knees and catch hold of opposite elbows with your hands, swaying your spine gently side to side, and maybe even helping to loosen your neck by softly shaking and nodding your head a few times. Inhale deeply, exhaling a soft whispering sound through your nose. Ujjayi Pranayama. Then perhaps switch the cross of your arms. Notice if that feels different in your shoulders. As you keep your knees bent, tilt your weight forward so that you can stack your hips right above your ankles. Plant your fingertips either on your shins, blocks in front of your feet, or the ground ahead. And as you firm in the belly, press your hands down and inhale, stretch your spine forward parallel to the floor, sending your shoulders down your back. Half forward fold. Keep shifting your weight forward as you exhale to fold towards your legs again. One more time, press firmly with your hands to create traction as you inhale to lengthen your spine into Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bow into Uttanasana. This time, press down to your feet and inhale, sweep your arms forward, rising with the arms overhead in Urdhva Hastasana. Now, as we pause and breathe here, remember how it felt to squeeze that block between your palms earlier. Imagine that as you rotate your triceps forward and press your shoulder blades down your back, hugging the bottom front ribs inward and lengthening the tailbone towards the ground right between your heels. Roll the shoulders behind you and press the shoulder blades down as you tilt your chest and gaze up for a gentle back bend. Another deep breath. Exhaling, join your palms in prayer at your heart center and rename your intention for your practice. Starting our first series of sun salutations, Surya Namaskar. Take a deep breath in as you sweep the arms forward, again creating a gentle back bend in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bow from your hips, optional to bend the knees to help lengthen your spine. Plant your fingertips outside your heels and inhale, step your left knee behind you to a kneeling lunge. Look up. Holding your breath, step into plank pose, top of a push-up, legs straight or knees down. Exhale, lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin. Inhale, slide your belly to the ground and root the tops of your feet while coiling your chest up into cobra. Exhale, press with your hands and lift your hips back to downward facing dog. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb. Lower your back knee and gaze up. Exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rising to stand in a gentle back bend again in Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, join your palms together at your heart. Let's try that once more on the second side. Inhale, sweep your arms up, coil your chest up. Exhale, bow from your hips. Plant your fingertips. Inhale, step your right knee back to a kneeling lunge, look up. Hold your breath as you step into plank pose. Exhale first, lower your knees, then your chest, then your chin, Ashtangasana. Then inhale, slither to the ground and roll the shoulders back in Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, lift your hips high into downward facing dog. Inhale, step your right foot beside your right thumb. Lower your back knee and look up. Exhale, step your left foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms overhead, rising into a standing back bend. Exhale, join your hands at your heart center. Second series of sun salutations. Inhale the arms up again, same back bend. Exhale, forward folds. Press your shins, blocks or the floor, and inhale, lengthen your spine to Ardha Uttanasana. Step into plank pose, and as you exhale, engage your abdomen and glide forward. Bend your elbows to hug your side ribs, passing through Chaturanga Dandasana. Choose to lower to Cobra or flip your toes here, inhaling to upward facing dog. Then exhale to downward facing dog and pause. Cultivate stillness as you steady your gaze and breath for 3 cycles of breath. When you finish the third out breath, walk or lightly jump to the top of your mat. Forward fold. Inhale, half forward fold, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana fold. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, hands together at your heart in mountain pose, Padasana. Let's take that sequence one more time. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Either step to plank and slowly lower, or lightly jump into Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale to Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Exhale to Downward Facing Dog. Pausing there, steadying your gaze as you listen to 3 slow breaths. Bringing your awareness fully into this moment, this experience in your body. When you hear the end of the 3rd exhalation, without rushing, walk or float to the top of your mat. Then inhale, lengthen forward to Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold Uttanasana. Inhale, rise up to Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale to Padasana. Let's begin our last series of sun salutes. Bring the inner edges of your feet together to prepare for chair pose, Utkatasana. Empty this breath, and as you breathe in, bend your knees together to touch and maybe graze the floor with your fingertips, sitting that low as you raise your arms overhead, chair pose. Then exhale, shift your weight forward and bow from your hips, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Step to plank or float to Chaturanga Dandasana. Continue through your Vinyasa, back to Downward Facing Dog. At Downward Dog, inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, step the foot lightly beside your right thumb and drop your back heel. Facing forward, inhale, rise to stand in Warrior One. Then exhale from plank, lower to Chaturanga, and take it through your Vinyasa. At Downward Dog, inhale, raise your left leg back. Exhale, gently step the foot beside your left thumb, drop your right heel. Inhale, rise facing forward, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower, and finish your Vinyasa. Once again, 3 breaths in stillness at Downward Facing Dog. Notice what you're experiencing here now. Anytime your body may need to rest, take a position of rest that works for you, whether child's pose or slowing down or something else. Pacing yourself. When you finish your 3rd exhale, if you're ready, walk or float to the top of your mat. With feet touching, inhale, lengthen forward. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees to touch. Inhale, sit low, arms up in Utkatasana. Exhale, rise up, Padasana. Let's take the sequence one last time with Surya Namaskar. Inhale, sit low, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen forward. Step back or float back. Take it through your Vinyasa. When you arrive, face with your breath. Downward Dog, inhale, raise your right leg. Exhale the foot forward, drop the back heel. Inhale, rise, Warrior One. Exhale, lower into your Vinyasa. Second side when you're ready. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale the foot forward, drop your back heel. Inhale, Virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, lower through your Vinyasa. Then again, pause for 3 breaths, slowing it down and noticing whatever you notice here. What feels different in this downward dog? After the third out breath, walk or float to the top. Then inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend your knees, Utkatasana. Exhale, rise up. Let's separate the feet hips distance or wider apart, parallel to each other. Bring your hands to your hips. We're gonna give the wrists and back of the body a stretch. So roll the shoulders down, inhale, look up. Exhale, hinge from your hips. And as you lift your toes, slip your palms face up underneath the soles of your feet in Padahastasana. Feel free to bend your knees as much as you may need so that your toes can meet the inner creases of your wrists. Then shift your weight forward and lift your chest through your arms, breathing in. Keeping your hands there, exhale, bow from your hips. Completely drop your head for a few breaths, deep breaths. If available, try bending your elbows apart here so that you can lift your shoulders up away from your neck. Maybe softly shaking and nodding your head. And relaxing your jaw, you might flutter your lips. Or take a couple of lion's breaths. Big inhales through the nose. Big sighs with the mouth wide, tongue sticking out. Notice the sensations here in your body. A couple more breaths in this version of Padasana or Uttanasana. Now notice what your energy is like at this point of your practice. Are you feeling fired up that you need to take another vinyasa or something lighter like some cat-cows, or step directly to downward facing dog? Take your choice. Let's meet in down dog. Once there, feel into your shoulders. Here in this position of downward dog, your shoulders are already in flexion. So let's bring some safe alignment to that. Rotate your triceps towards the floor, plug the shoulder bones in their sockets, drop your head freely, and seal in the bottom of your front ribs as you pull your hips further up and back, lengthening your spine both front and back. A few more deep breaths. On your next inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhaling, round your back and bend that knee high towards your nose in plank pose. Step the foot beside your right thumb in a high lunge, then inhale, rise to crescent pose. Staying a few breaths, draw your tailbone downward towards the earth and slightly lift your frontal hip bones. Rotate your left outer hip forward to meet the right hip as you bend your front knee right on top of the ankle. Notice here, your shoulders are in flexion, just like in downward dog. Warrior two, spin your left heel down and align your right heel to intersect the arch of your left foot. Open your arms wide apart and gaze just past your right hand for a few more breaths. As you bend your right knee directly above the heel, rotate your right outer hip beneath you and firm the top of your left thigh bone back towards you. Virabhadrasana 2. With one inhale, raise your right arm and side bend towards the back of the room in Peaceful Warrior. Then rise back through Warrior 2 and let's prepare for extended side angle. Glide your pelvis sideways towards the rear edge of your mat, keeping your front knee bent over the ankle. Reach your torso towards your front wall and start by placing your right forearm on your right thigh. As you raise your left arm, rotate the tricep to face your left wall and sweep your left arm overhead towards your front wall. Uttita Parshva Konasana. If you have room to, your right hip is willing, place your right hand on a block of the floor just to the right side of your right leg while firming your right arm and outer thigh against each other. Keep rolling your right outer hip under you. tacking the crease of your right hip back towards your left outer foot. Set your eyes on one focal point, and let's tune into the rhythm of your breath. Take a look at your right foot here and frame it with your hands on blocks or the floor. Step your right foot to the right another 3 to 5 inches and walk your left foot forward another 4 to 5 inches, dropping the back heel and turning both of your hips to face the front of your mat. Bring your hands to your hips and rise up, preparing for twisting triangle. Keeping your 2 frontal hip bones facing forward. Use the right hand on the right hip to slightly tack that right hip back. Lifting your left arm, ground through your feet, engage the muscles in your legs and your abdomen as you breathe in to stretch your spine forward parallel to the floor. Remember to twist at your waistline, not at your hips. As you exhale to turn your chest to face the right wall, placing the left hand either on the left side of your front foot on a block of the floor, or going further into the twist, place the left hand on the right side of your front foot. Keep your 2 hips leveled as if you could balance a block wide across your lower back. And then raising your right arm up, continue to lengthen your spine forward as you breathe in, and turn your chest to the right as you breathe out. Stacking your shoulders and your wrists. Harita Trikonasana. One more full breath. Then look at your right foot and grab your strap just in case. Bring your hands to your hips again and inhale to rise. Let's place the arms in cow face pose before we come into pyramid. So holding your strap in your left hand, raise your left arm and rotate the left tricep forward. Bring your left elbow behind your head and press both of your shoulders down. Reach your right hand behind you underneath to catch the other end of the strap. Then walk your hands as close together as you can. You might be able to clasp your hands and not need the strap. Hug in your front ribs, firm the muscles in your legs and belly again. Then inhale, lift your chest and look up. Stretching your spine, exhale, hinge little by little from your hips. Bowing towards the inside of your right shin. Parsvottanasana, pyramid pose. Sense what feels different this time around if you've practiced this posture before. And if it's new, bring all your attention here too. One more deep breath. Place your hands on the ground and please step back to downward facing dog. Let's skip the vinyasa here for the sake of time. On your next inhale, raise your left leg behind you, keeping your hips leveled. As you exhale, contract your belly and round forward in plank pose, stepping your left foot lightly beside your left thumb into a high lunge. Inhale, rise up into crescent pose. Lifting your frontal hip bones, draw your tailbone down and square both hips evenly to face forward. Roll your triceps forward and draw the shoulder blades down your back. Entering Warrior Two, drop your right heel and align your left heel to the arch of your right foot. As you open your arms wide, gaze just past your left hand. Bending your left knee right on top of the heel. Rotate your left outer hip under you while firming the top of your right thigh bone back. Sense what's new in your experience of this posture this time around. Keep your left knee bent. Inhale to peaceful warrior, side bending towards your back wall. Exhale, rise and reach the torso forward, landing your left forearm on your left thigh as you slide your pelvis towards the rear wall. With your right arm up high, rotate the tricep to face your right wall, then sweep that arm overhead for extended side angle pose. Choose to keep your left forearm on your thigh or place the hand on the left side of your left leg directly under your left shoulder, on a block or the floor. Spinning your chest slightly to face the sky. Tune in for a few more breaths in Uttita Parshvakonasana. One more deep breath. Take a look at your left foot and place your hands on blocks or the floor to frame it. To help you, scoot the left foot to the left another 3 to 5 inches and walk the right foot forward another 4 to 5 inches, dropping the heel. Squaring your hips to the front, place your hands on your hips and rise up, preparing for twisting triangle. Keep your left hand on the left hip to gently tack it back as you raise your right arm. Ground to your feet and inhale, lengthen your spine forward, parallel to the ground. At your waistline, exhale, begin to twist to the left. Lower your right hand either on the right side of your front foot or going further in the twist, place the hand on the left side of the front foot. Keep your hips balanced in height and inhale, stretch your spine forward. Exhale, continue to rotate your rib cage. Left arm to the sky in Parita Trikonasana. One more deep breath. Take a look at your left foot and step back to downward facing dog. Stay in a few breaths in downward dog. Bring your attention to your shoulders again. Wrap your triceps towards the ground and lift the shoulder blades away from your neck, softening the back of your neck as you pull your hips further up and further back, sinking the heels downward. Couple of options for you to enter dolphin pose. Either try to simultaneously lower both forearms and elbows to the floor, and you're in it, or first come down to hands and knees in tabletop. Place your elbows on the floor, shoulders width apart, forearms parallel to each other or fingers interlaced. And then tuck your toes and lift your hips like downward facing dog. Let's stay a few breaths once you enter dolphin pose. See if you might be able to walk your feet forward closer to your elbows. Maybe step the feet together and raise one leg straight up, keeping your hips squared, evenly facing the ground. And then after a few breaths, switch legs. From dolphin pose, walk your toes back, entering forearm plank pose, where your spine and legs are parallel to the floor and your shoulders are right on top of your elbows. Gaze towards the space between your thumbs to lengthen your neck, spreading your shoulder blades apart. Draw them down your back ribs and lift your navel towards your spine. Press your inner heels back. A few more breaths. Imagine you could knit your front ribs towards your back body. When you're ready, gently lower your knees and your pelvis into Sphinx pose. We're gonna give our shoulders a little counter pose from all that shoulders and flexion. So cross your left forearm in front of your chest on the ground and bend your right knee. Backstroke your right arm, and with your right hand, catch the big toe side of your right ankle or foot. Now this is your right shoulder in extension. Slide the knees closer together so they're no wider than hips distance apart, and ground your 2 frontal hip bones. We're also going to open up the right quadricep and the hip flexors. As you turn your chest completely to face forward, breath by breath, draw your right heel just slightly to the outside of your right hip while relaxing your shoulders down. Give it one more deep breath. Come back to Sphinx pose and slide your knees as close together as you can. Cross your right forearm in front of your chest, bend your left knee, and backstroke your left arm. Catching the big toe side of your left ankle or foot, have your knees no wider apart than hips distance. Ground your 2 frontal hip bones as you turn your chest to face forward. With deep breaths, slowly bring the left heel just slightly to the outside of your left hip. Relaxing your shoulders, your neck, and your jaw. Then release your left leg. Now, if you have issues in your lower back feels sensitive, or you've got stiffness or pain there, then I invite you to keep the tops of your feet on the ground and your arms back by your sides like this when we enter locust pose. Otherwise, if you're free from lower back issues, take your block and we're gonna do a little core strengthener with hugging the block between our palms, just like we did in the beginning. See if you can do so without wrapping the fingers around the edges, so your fingers are straight like this, like robot arms. And then extend your arms overhead. Rotate the triceps to face the floor, plug the shoulder bones back, lengthening your neck. Press back to your heels and inhale, lift everything you can off the floor for your count of 5 to 10 breaths. Try to lift your upper arms alongside your ears as you draw the shoulder blades down your back. To not add stress to your neck and shoulders, look on the ground slightly ahead. Keep your feet parallel to each other, a way to support your lower back. By spinning your inner thighs slightly towards the sky as you stretch your tailbone towards the space between your knees. Shalabhasana, locust pose. When you're done counting 5 to 10 breaths, drop everything and rest for 3 breaths. Notice what's here now. Then please press up to sit and step your feet in front of you. Preparing for either bridge with the arms, the shoulders in flexion, as if you're entering upward bow, or preparing for upward bow, our last active back bend. So take a block, hug the skin width right between your knees and thighs, and separate your feet as wide apart as your knees, parallel to each other, flat on the floor. Spread your toes. Lower onto your back and bring your arms down by your sides. Slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not quite. Ground your feet and raise your arms. Imagine you're hugging a second block between your palms like we did in the beginning. Rotate your triceps forward so that your pinky finger edges are pressing more firmly into the imaginary block than your thumbs are. Keep your elbows no wider apart than your shoulders distance as you bend your elbows and flex your wrists placing your fingertips on the floor alongside your ears or flattening the palms face down. Now keep your arms here and let's start in bridge pose, and maybe that's where you'll stay, or you'll use that as a stepping stone to continue on to upward bow. Take a deep breath in and press to your feet, lift your hips up, and as you squeeze the block, stretch the fronts of your thighs forward while isometrically dragging the heels back. Tilt the chin slightly away from your chest and stay for 5 to 10 breaths here, or place the crown of your head to the floor. Space the hands slightly wider apart to keep the elbows from splaying wider apart. And press off your hands and feet, broadening your collarbones as you drop your skull in upward facing bow. Urdhva Dhanurasana, shoulders in flexion. So whatever back bend you've chosen, listen to 5 to 10 breaths in total before slowly lowering your spine and pelvis to the floor. Then place the block aside and wrap your right leg over your left leg, dropping your knees to the left completely. Stack your right hip on top of your left hip and splay your right arm behind you, wide on the floor towards the right wall. Look past the right shoulder and allow it to fall closer to the ground, breath by breath, in your supine spinal twist. Placing your left hand on your right outer hip, you could add some traction to release the lower back by pressing the right outer hip away from you. Inhale to your nose and slow down your exhales a little bit longer than the in-breaths to help your mind and body relax more deeply. After this exhalation, gently roll onto your back, wrap your left leg over the right, and drop your knees completely to the right side to stack your left hip on top of your right hip. Then splay your left arm wide behind you on the floor, looking past your left shoulder. Let it drop closer and closer to the ground. And you might use your right hand to gently press away your left outer hip. Inhaling through your nose, exhaling longer out through the nose. After this exhalation, roll onto your back and come into happy baby pose, where you catch hold of your outer feet and draw your tailbone and shoulders into the floor. You might also decide to straddle the legs wide here, clasping your big toes or placing your arms to rest on your inner thighs. Hip opening posture for a few more long exhalations. Bring your hands to your outer thighs, and like you're closing a book, draw your knees together and rock yourself up to sit with your legs straight in front of you, preparing for Paschimottanasana, a seated forward fold. Separating your feet hips width apart, choose to either place a strap around the balls of the feet to help pull yourself forward, or walk your hands down the backs of your legs and maybe eventually clasp your big toes. Root your sitting bones down and inhale, lengthen the front and back of your spine while relaxing your shoulders. Hug your bottom front ribs in, and with a flat back feeling, start to bow from your hips, breath by breath. Keep relaxing your shoulders and slightly lifting your chest as you bow. Paschimottanasana. What feels alive in you in this moment? On your next in-breath, root your sitting bones down and begin to lift from your chest. Let's set the body up for a restful Shavasana, splaying your feet apart, wider than hips distance. Maybe place a block under the back of each knee for lower back support. If you have something to cover your eyes gently with, like your strap, you can use that. Come on down to your back and close your eyes. Turn your palms to face up beside your thighs and let your shoulders melt into the ground, sliding your shoulder blades down your back ribs. Imagine with your next inhalation, you could fill up your whole body with a warm, nurturing light. Inhale deeply. Hold your breath in for a few seconds while relaxing your body. And when you're ready, through your lips, slowly let the breath go. Shavasana. Resting here a little while longer. Begin to notice your body again. Feel into what's present for you physically now. And with small, gentle movements, begin to wake up your hands and feet, your neck and shoulders, your arms and legs. Slowly rolling over to your right side. Allow a moment to rest your head there. Sensing the quality of your breath, just as it is. Feeling into your energetic state. And when you're ready, slowly press your hands into the ground and rise up to find a comfortable seat for 5 minutes in meditation. I invite you into a breath meditation using Nadi Shodhana Pranayama as a way to meditate. So fully absorbing into the practice of your breathing. So find a way to sit in which your spine is upright, your body is relaxed. Rest your left hand on your lap in a mudra of your choice. And with your right hand, stick out your thumb, pinky, and ring finger. Closing your lips, begin to slow your breath down again, just through the nose. Eventually, you might close your eyes as well and steady your inner gaze at the area of your intuitive energy center, your pineal gland, Ajna chakra, third eye center. So let's practice 3 cycles of alternate nostril breathing together and 2 cycles on your own. We'll be using the right thumb to close your right nostril and the right pinky and ring to close the left nostril, to alternate nostrils to breathe. Let's prepare by exhaling through the nose. Hold your breath out. Right thumb, close right nostril. Inhale through the left slowly. Hold your breath in. Close left. Exhale right gently. Hold the breath out. Inhale right. Hold the breath. Close right. Exhale left. Hold the breath. That's 1 cycle. Cycle 2. Inhale left, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 3, 2, 1. Close left. Exhale right for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold the breath. 3, 2, 1. Inhale right. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 3, 2, 1. Close right. Exhale left. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold 3, 2, 1. Third cycle. Inhale left for 6. Hold for 3. Close left. Exhale right for 6. Hold for 3. Inhale right for 6. Hold for 3. Close right. Exhale left for 6. Hold for 3. Continue 2 more cycles on your own. When you finish, rest both hands in the same mudra. Relax into natural breathing and observe how you feel for 1 minute. Now, sense your mental and emotional state. Take a moment to offer gratitude for anything you appreciate. Call to mind your intention you set at the start of this practice. And remember to whom or what you dedicated today's practice. And together, let's close, chanting 3 ohms. Inhale deeply. Bow in towards the light within you. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.